From the campus of Yale University, where some of the great academic minds reside, well, they've hosted the great names in women's tennis this week. In fact, 6 of the top 10 started here, and we're down to 2. The top 2 Americans, Lindsay Davenport and Venus Williams, in the final. It's the Pilot Pen, sponsored by Michelob Light. The weather today, well, U.S. Open just around the corner, and the weather starting to be U.S. Open weather. Hot and humid, no threat of rain in the air. Welcome, everyone. Alongside Pam Shriver, I'm Patrick McEnroe. Certainly going into this year's U.S. Open, women's tennis is a big story, and 2 of the 3 favorites, I think, Pam, are right here today in the Pilot Pen final.
Patrick, you're absolutely right. Along with Martina Hingis, who chose not to play here, but who won the U.S. Open 2 years ago, these 3 players are undoubtedly going to probably win the title in 2 weeks' time. And because Venus Williams and Lindsay Davenport are on opposite sides of the draw, we could be seeing a rematch in 2 weeks' time in the U.S. Open final. And Venus Williams is playing the best tennis of her career. And after a little lull after Wimbledon, Davenport's starting to pick up her game as well.
Certainly Lindsay Davenport had such a great summer last summer. Hasn't been quite as effective this summer, but certainly playing great tennis. She's won 1 title this summer. She's 24 years of age, and she's got the big W, one of the big 3 titles this year, Pam.
Well, and you see that number 2 ranking. She's been going back and forth with the number 1 ranking with Martina Hingis. And the keys to Davenport's game, the big first serve is improved. There you can see the big one out wide. She also likes the one up the middle. The return game of Davenport has always been her biggest weapon and continues to be so, but now some all-court play is sneaking into Davenport's game.
And certainly her opponent today, Venus Williams, has yet to win a Grand Slam, but all the talk on the women's tour is about, is this the time for Venus Williams? Will she finally do it at this year's U.S. Open? She's beaten Davenport for one of the few times earlier this summer. She's 19 years of age, of course, that great wingspan. Is she now playing the best tennis she's ever played, Pam?
Well, I definitely think so. 4 titles. She's won 2 Tier 1s, the Lipton, the Italian Open. She's 4 now in the world, but she's going to move to 3 tomorrow by getting through to this final. And there are some very important parts of Venus Williams' game. The big first serve, it's the fastest ever clocked in women's tennis at 127 miles an hour. But she also possesses a new part of her game, net play. She's coming in more than ever before, very effectively. And she moves extremely well. At 6'1", I've never seen anyone move as well on the court, and this is a big advantage Williams has over Davenport.
2 of the power hitters in women's tennis. There's Venus Williams against Lindsay Davenport, the top 2 Americans in the world, and 2 of the favorites going into the U.S. Open. They'll play for the Pilot Pen Championship when we come back.
CBS Sports presents the 1999 Pilot Pen, a USTA Women's Championship event, sponsored by Pilot. Quality writing instruments since 1918. Smooth, refreshing Michelob Light. Beer or Michelob, and by the new Lincoln LS, American luxury.
Back at the Pilot Pen, the Connecticut Tennis Center at Yale University, we are live for this women's championship match. The top 2 seeds here, Lindsay Davenport, has had a fairly easy road. 1 hiccup in the semifinals yesterday, Pam.
Well, against Roxandra Dragomir, who completed her quarterfinal match yesterday before playing Davenport, was actually up a set and 2-1 before Lindsay Davenport took control and ran away with 11 straight games.
And Emily Maresma, who she beat easily in the quarterfinals, had beaten Lindsay twice before coming in. For Venus, hey, she's only lost 10 games. She's been dominant this week.
The way she played against Sellis last night was just extraordinary. The only tight set, really, was against Maguire Stern in the second set. It was 4-all, a couple of break points against Venus Williams, but she fought those off nicely. And very consistent play from Williams, serving well, just doing all the basics. She used to be known for making so many unforced errors, and she's cut that down, and her forehand is steadied out, and that's always been an issue with her. It's been her vulnerable side, but really this week it's held up wonderfully.
Chair umpire for the proceedings today, Lynn Welsh. Venus's unforced errors. I think she finished the match against Monica last night, Pam, with, what, about 6 unforced errors and almost 20 winners.
Yeah, whenever you have single digits and unforced errors, especially when you have a high-risk game like Venus Williams, and when you're playing somebody who puts you under pressure like Monica Seles, I really thought it was the best match, or one of the best matches that I'd ever seen Venus Williams play against a quality opponent.
Venus Williams taking their little sit down before they start. Just sort of a new thing the players like to do. Very hot and sticky today. Fans are out.
Two kinds.
More ways than one. And now the players walk out, and first game of the match, Venus Williams set to serve. Head-to-head that we spoke about, 8-2 for Davenport. She's dominated, but the last meeting, Williams got her in straight sets.
That was 3 weeks ago.
First point of the match. Starting right where she left off last night. Well, we were up here before the match, Pam. We saw both players warming up, and Lindsay was practicing that return a lot, that second serve return. Will Venus have to maybe not try to do so much with the first serve?
Well, that's going to be interesting to see, because Venus definitely has the big fastball, and then sometimes she reverts back to sort of that change-up serve. Like that one. But sometimes when she goes to the change-up serve, she gets out of sync with her rhythm, and that's not a good thing either.
15-all.
See, that is an example of a second serve where she goes up a little bit too early, and a lot of times there's a little bit of a hitch still in the Venus Williams serve. It's not as smooth as her younger sister Serena's serve.
15-30. Clearly struggling with the timing in this first game. Pam, we talked so much about the movement of Williams, but it's really improved from Davenport. She'll never be as quick as Venus, but she's able to cover the court a lot better now.
Well, and then we're going to see a lot of rallies like this, power rallies, and Venus Williams has the advantage, but here's a ball that Davenport gets to and does something with, and then forces the error from Williams and brings up 2 break points.
Venus saves one with a big one up the middle.
Williams also possesses a wonderful serve out wide when she's serving well to that deuce side, so the opponents have to look a little bit for that. That makes the one up the tee more effective.
Still break point.
Ooh, that missed by a ton.
Now that one lined up, Davenport.
Yeah, I had Williams really on the defensive, but Williams is able to hang in there and at least get back into a relatively neutral position. So many players wouldn't have gotten to that last ball, and that is a bad miss on break point for Davenport.
First game of the match, back to deuce. Lindsay makes no mistake with the short forehand.
Advantage Davenport.
Break point number 3. Shows that improved movement, gets to the drop shot with no problem. Early break, Davenport with the lead. First game and a break for Lindsay Davenport. This is the 3rd time this year on the WTA tour that there's been an All-American final. Of course, you mentioned the Lipton Championships in March. Well, next year will be called the Ericsson. That was the Williams sisters there. Venus winning that one, and then these two playing out in Stanford, California 3 weeks ago. Venus also winning that one over Lindsay in the final. Love 15.
Venus Williams up the line. It could have possibly been closer to the sideline to stretch Davenport out a little bit more. Good depth, but you can see how much room on the sideline Davenport has. A little flick of the wrist. Super forehand.
Amazing she can get that much power off balance like that. 15 all. Ball dribbles over. Williams will take it. 15-30. Lindsay's been dominant, especially on the hard courts this year. But an unforced error there. Good return from Williams.
And that return from Venus Williams, as you can see, this perfect 7-0, that means you win Wimbledon. But that return from Venus Williams, hard and up the middle, and that's a Davenport trademark shot.
Break points. So a break right back for Venus Williams. One game all, first set. And this fall on CBS Fridays, can an uptown girl and a working class guy find happiness together? It's a comedy in a class by itself. Love and Money, coming to CBS Fridays this fall.
Wow. I'll tell you, there's love and money in tennis, but if you have a lot of love, you're not going to get too much money. But that ace up the middle, that'll earn you a few bucks.
Second ace for Williams.
Gave a clinic this morning. I said, if you throw up a bad toss, catch it. See? Even the best players in the world do that.
No balks in tennis.
Lindsay, go to first base.
Out.
Overruled from Lynn Welsh to share. Line's person on that end called that one in. 15 all. Two aces and two double faults now.
Venus Williams with 3 unforced errors so far. She didn't get to 3 unforced errors last night against Celis until the second set. Expect this in a final, though. More nerves.
Maybe something to do with who's on the other side of the net as well.
Baseline, lady, getting a good workout in this game. Very close there, but Davenport all over that second serve, making Venus come up with a pass that lands just inside the line. Good call.
1 all, 30 all. First set.
Oh, another close one.
Pasting that line.
Venus really likes the backhand down the line. She a lot of times has that open stance. The left hand stays out. left foot rather, and she's able to push back and get back into court so much quicker than the old closed stance two-handed backhand.
Game point, Williams. First serve percentage low for Williams so far.
That's why no one's held serve. At least Venus hasn't. Third double fault.
Deuce.
Lindsay, even though she's serving 80%, still dropped her service game, so server having all sorts of problems early in this final. And no wonder, two of the best returners in the world.
Tremendous hitting from Davenport off the ground. Setting up that swinger.
Advantage Davenport.
Looking up at the sun because that's the end where it is tough, but Lindsay Davenport picks this out of the air, a little bit of topspin, hits it around shoulder height.
Another break point.
Deuce.
Venus choosing to go with a three-quarter pace first serve a lot of times. She knows her service percentage is starting off shaky in this match, and I think she's trying to build her confidence by going to that three-quarter pacer, and then we'll see as the match continues if she starts to hit more of the fastball.
Second deuce. There's that slider out wide. She used that very well against Monica Seles last night, although Davenport much more dangerous on the wings.
A lot more reach. Seles limited with the two hands on both sides. That's a little subtle shot that Venus Williams needs to work on in her game, is when she has to go to the one-hander out of desperation, that she's more effective with it. She moves so well that if she can get a little more confidence in that shot right there, she'll be able to make it. As it was, that just caught the tape.
Deuce again. That's an excellent serve wide there. Really pulled Davenport out there.
Key to the wide serve is obviously the slice, the righty. It runs away on the deuce court, and if the further up the line you can get it towards the net, it just is impossible for the returner. And if Davenport can't get to it, no one can in women's tennis.
Another game point for Williams. Again, the clean return from Lindsay.
But it was a serve that was really, nothing was done with it. It was three-quarter pace. It was not located well. It was just right in that sweet spot for Davenport to treat it like a second serve. And that's what Davenport has to do, because Venus really does vary her pace of serves.
Fourth deuce. Third game of the match. Misses with that one. How important is this, Pam, going into the Open? Obviously, Lindsay's had so much success over Venus in the past, but now if Venus could beat her again for the second straight time.
Well, I think it would really mark a change psychologically in their rivalry. Martina Navratilova, Chris Evert had a similar switch early in their rivalry when Evert jumped out to the big lead, and then Martina started to win 2-3 matches in a row.
From Davenport. That's the best rally we've had so far.
And the forehand side of Williams eventually breaking down. This is their 11th meeting, and talking about that Evert Navratilova, they played each other 80 times. Navratilova, a slight edge. You can see now this forehand coming up. Racket face just turns closed a little too quickly, forcing that ball in the net.
Long game here. Fifth deuce. There's the big one up the middle. She decides to flatten it out. That's her third ace.
And you know, Patrick, when you're playing somebody who has both serves, the one out wide and the one up the tee, sometimes it's just, you know, what can you do? You just have to maybe try and guess, look for something in the toss, look for any little hints that the server's giving you. Now, see, it's funny. You get an unbelievable ace, perfect serve, very much in sync, and then all of a sudden one that really is about a third of the way up the net.
That goes long, so after 5 deuces, Williams finally holds on. On serve, 2-1 at the Pilot Pen.